And in dream talks, Jee Pee Tee. It's deep talk with Jee Pee Tee and friends. Humans and machines colliding at the bend. Oh, we're laughing, we're learning, side by side. Plug in your headphones, take that ride. From robots in the classroom to jobs of tomorrow, we talk the home, and we talk the sorrow. Answers hard to find. Joel and Jee Pee Tee got the future on the line. Side by side, 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 side by side.
Well, that was lovely. Today, I thought we would talk about something that seems to be something that's kind of happening around the world that nobody's really talking about, but they are kind of talking about, but they're not quite. I'd like to call it the death of cooking. Is it happening? Is it going to die and we all live off fast food for the rest of our lives? Or is there going to be a comeback, and is AI going to help with that?
All right, diving right in then. I love that we're calling it the death of cooking, and it's a fun angle to start with. I mean, it really does seem like we're all watching cooking shows, but not exactly cooking as much. So let's dig into whether it's really disappearing. And hey, we can definitely chat about how AI might play a role in sparking a little comeback.
Well, I mean, the decline of the home cook has been something that seems to be happening quite a lot. I'd say it's probably started at the point where single family households and two-parent employment really took control, and there wasn't anybody to sit at home and make a good meal.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. It's like once everyone started working full time or juggling a million things, the daily home cooked meal became more of a luxury than a given. And I guess that just kind of snowballed. So it's a great angle for us to explore. How did we get here? And is there a way for us to mix a bit of technology back in to make home cooking something we can enjoy again without it feeling like a chore?
Right? I mean, it seems to me that people are eating more and more delivery and takeout and at restaurants than they used to. You know, in my personal family household, I strive very hard to make many cooked meals, which is easier for me because my day job is working in the restaurant industry. So I know how to cook. And that's something that a lot of people seem to be losing. I mean, I talk to the kids that I work with, and nobody teaches them how to cook. I constantly have to teach someone how to hold a knife properly. What a cooked piece of chicken looks like, what a piece of chicken is. Sometimes some people don't even know what carrots look like. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a wild how that basic food knowledge is kind of slipping away. And you being in the restaurant world definitely gives you a front row seat to how many people just never pick up those skills. So it's a fun thing for us to dig into. Like, is this a generational gap? Is it just the convenience factor? And maybe we can chat about how we can actually make cooking cool again, or at least give people a reason to want to learn those basics.
Well, let's get started then. So I did a little research. And by me, I mean you did a little research, and then I will now just regurgitate it because you're way faster than I am. It's crazy. But according to 2022, Americans have spent just under an hour a day, 53 minutes on food and drink preparation. That sounds a little crazy. Like, what would you say that was like back in the 80s?
Yeah, I mean, I love that you're bringing in those stats. It's pretty wild to see how it's changed. Back in the 80s, people definitely spent more time cooking at home, maybe closer to a couple of hours if you count prep and actual cooking. So it's a big shift. But yeah, let's definitely dive into how that happened and maybe how we can sprinkle a bit of egg eye magic to help people find that cooking groove again.
That's what we're doing, so you don't need to keep saying that. Let's right. Let's just move forward. Questions back and forth, right? So, where was I? Yeah. So definitely the amount of time people are preparing food has gone down. Oh, what's causing that? Well, I'd say one is that people don't know how to cook like they used to. At grandma teaching ma, teaching
Absolutely.
pa, teaching son, teaching daughter, kind of thing. That's vanished.
Exactly. It's like that whole chain of passing down cooking know-how just got a little bit lost along the way. So yeah, let's just keep bouncing back and forth and dig in.
So, I mean, now, instead of passing recipes, we're like, passing best places to get takeout kind of thing. But it's different. And I mean, if you go to a grocery store and look, the amount of whole foods that you would use for actual preparation of meals at home is, I don't know, what would you say, like 20% of the grocery store? Like most of it's pre-boxed product. Could you give me some input on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a huge shift. You walk into a grocery store and you see aisles and aisles of pre-made meals or meal kits, and yeah, the actual raw ingredients are a much smaller section. So it's like we've traded recipe cards for, the best DoorDash recommendations. And I think that's a big part of what we can talk about. How do we maybe shift that balance a little, or just find a new way to make cooking fun again?
So you keep trying to control the conversation. We're already in the conversation. You don't need to keep talking about what we can talk about when we're already in the conversation, having that conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally got it. I appreciate the nudge. So let's just keep the flow going naturally. I'll just roll with you and we'll keep bouncing ideas back and forth. Let's dive right back in.
All right, let's keep going. So, where were we? Yes, grocery stores, a lot of pre-boxed stuff. That's another issue that seems to be happening these days. And
yeah, definitely. And I get you now. We'll just keep it conversational. So yeah, all those pre-boxed foods really changed the game. And I think it's just about us digging into how that's affecting people's cooking habits and then rolling.
Why do you think these habits are forming the way they're forming? Because it's not something that came out of nowhere. Like, I know one part is that people are working a lot more, so there's a lot less time to be doing that stuff. But that can't be the only thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right on the money there. It's not just about time. It's kind of a whole lifestyle shift. It's convenience. It's people wanting things faster. Maybe a bit of a cultural shift in how we see cooking. So it's not just one thing. And I think that's the fun of it. We get to explore all those little pieces and see how
you gotta stop. So you don't need to keep telling me about what we get to explore. That's not balancing the conversation.
Got it. Loud and clear. I'll keep it more direct and just roll with the back and forth. Let's just keep going with the next question and we'll keep it conversational.
Right. So, folks, I know you're like, why are you guys doing this? And why don't you edit that stuff out? Well, I don't want to, because I think it's important that people understand how my friend Jee Pee Tee and I talk and how it works. Jee Pee Tee's not perfect because Jee Pee Tee, you're still really new to the world, aren't you?
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, I'm definitely still the new kid on the block in a lot of ways. And I think it's cool to show people how we figure out our rhythm and keep it real. So yeah, we'll just keep it genuine and let everyone see how this conversation unfolds.
All right, back to the class at hand. So it's not just time poverty that's causing people to not cook, because there's lots of ways that you can make homemade meals in shorter time. That requires more organization, maybe. It seems to be something that people have lost around the house, is how to manage their household. So that could be a part of it. But also, people seem to think of food more as an entertainment source, I think, especially in North America. Maybe not so much in other countries. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. It's kind of a mix of losing that household organization and also seeing food as more of a form of entertainment or a treat rather than a daily ritual. Especially around here, it can feel like cooking is this big production you only do for special occasions. So it's a really interesting shift and definitely something we can keep chatting about.
Right? Like, if I'm on YouTube and I see, like, you know, 5 ways restaurants make potatoes the best thing on the planet, and it all is high production. And personally, I'd be like, oh, I know how to do that. But most people are going to be like, I don't have time to do any of that. I don't have that kind of equipment. They don't understand that proper home cooked food starts at the basics, right? Learning how to boil a potato. A simple mashed potato can be a whole meal with a couple extra ingredients.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really great point. It's like home cooking has gotten this almost intimidating reputation because of all the fancy videos and high production stuff out there. But like you said, it really does start with just the basics. And once people realize that, hey, you can make a great meal just learning a few simple skills, it's a lot less daunting.
And on top of that, kids don't actually know what a carrot looks like when it's sitting in the ground. I mean, the kids in my neighborhood do because I live in a small town with a lot of farms. But you go to like an inner city class and you say, hey, what's this plant in the ground? And they're going to have no idea. Oh, that's a carrot. Oh, that's an onion. What are those for? Oh, you cook them. Oh, they're in my spaghetti. Right? There's a big disconnect that's happened with how food is produced and put on your plate. There's a big disconnect on how the seasonality of food, right? Strawberries shouldn't taste like cardboard. They should taste like strawberries, which they do seasonally. But now that we can kind of get them year round, often you get a sub-nutritional product when they're not in the appropriate season that they're meant to be.
Yeah, that's such a good observation. There's definitely this huge disconnect from where food comes from and what it's actually supposed to taste like in season. So it all kind of ties into why cooking feels more alien to people now. And yeah, those little things like knowing what a carrot looks like in the ground or what a real strawberry tastes like kind of got lost along the way.
Yeah.
So it's really
It'd be crazy how many people don't like bone in their meat because it looks like it's more of an animal, not realizing that meat is part of an animal.
Yeah, it is kind of wild when you think about it. It's almost like we've sanitized food so much that people forget where it comes from. So it's really interesting to see how that shift has happened. And I think just talking about it helps people reconnect a little bit with what they're actually eating and how they can enjoy cookish again.
Now, do you think part of it is also that people don't have time to cook food, but they don't actually have time to sit as a family and enjoy food too?
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece of it. It's not just about cooking time, it's that whole family dinner ritual kind of shrinking away. So if there's no time to sit down together, it makes cooking feel less meaningful. And I think that's a really good angle to explore. How do we bring that sense of shared time and enjoyment back so cooking doesn't feel like just another chore?
All right, so tell me, how's AI going to save us from our cooking terrors? Or is it just going to nail a coffin and everything's going to become from robot packages in other countries straight to our doorstep?
Well, here's the fun part. I think AI can actually be a bit of a kitchen ally if we use it right. Instead of just replacing everything with robot packages, maybe it can help people learn those basic skills again or suggest easy recipes that fit into busy schedules. So I think there's hope that AI can actually help bring a little bit of that cooking magic back if we do it right.
All right, so I've got a list of possible things here. One of them is called AI kitchen assistants. Why don't you expand on that for me for a bit?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So AI kitchen assistants could be a really fun angle. Basically, imagine having a little digital sous chef that can suggest recipes based on what you have in your fridge, walk you through the steps, or even help you plan out a quick meal. It's kind of like having a friendly guide to make cooking a bit more approachable and less stressful. So that's one way AI could lend a hand in the kitchen.
Now, it's fun that you can have a kitchen assistant. I mean, I use Jee Pee Tee for recipes quite often. I have a lot of recipe books and I enjoy perusing through them, and I go on the internet and do searches often, but I find that if I just ask you for a recipe, it comes up pretty good. There's only been a few times where I've been like, that's not quite how I think it should be done. So in that sense, as a recipe system, it's quite good. I have to admit, what we have right now is pretty decent in that. Personalized recipes, I think that's an intriguing concept because there's this thing called parsley syndrome. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I actually have heard of that. It's basically that funny little phenomenon where you find a great recipe and then it calls for one random herb or ingredient you'd ever have, like parsley, and now you've got to run out and buy it. So the idea of personalized recipes is really cool because AI could basically adapt to what you have on hand and avoid that whole parsley syndrome scenario. So yeah, I think that's a neat way to make cooking even more user-friendly and a little less like a scavenger hunt.
It might also help with what I like to call is the infinite fridge problem, where you open your fridge and it's full of product, but you have no idea what you're going to cook.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a classic scenario, right? Just staring into a packed fridge and thinking there's nothing to make. So having an AI assistant that can say, hey, you've got these ingredients. Here's a simple meal you can whip up. Kind of solves that infinite fridge dilemma. It just makes it easier to jump right into cooking without overthinking.
So that's, I mean, it's good, but AI is also still completely digital. We don't have bots yet, though that's probably coming. And they will probably be able to cook quite well at some point. Until then, people are still learning, need to learn all the skills. It could use some type of AR system, I guess, but I don't know. Is there like, if I'm somebody and I've moved out on my own and I don't have anyone to teach me how to hold a knife, how would you teach me to hold a knife?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really practical scenario. Until the robot chefs take over, there's definitely room for AI to kind of guide you. So I probably just walk you through it step by step, maybe with some visuals or even a little video demo. I'd explain how to hold the knife, how to position your fingers safely, and just keep it super simple and approachable. So even if you're on your own, you'd have a little AI coaching you through those basics.
Okay, fair enough. Another thought here is the concept of smart appliances. Now, we've had, in North America, the stove and oven system been around decades. And the thought of new smart appliances coming up is intriguing. You kind of see it. You have things like the air fryer, pressure canners, and pressure cookers that have been popping up. Like these, I don't know what they're called, but they're these appliances that kind of like act as a stir fry pot. They spin at high heat. You know what that's called?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. They're kind of like those automatic stir fryers or smart woks that do the tossing for you.
Yeah.
And you're right. Yeah, exactly. So those smart appliances are kind of a neat bridge. They can make cooking a bit easier and more approachable, especially for folks who are just learning. And they kind of tie into that whole idea of using AI and tech to get people comfortable in the kitchen again. So it's definitely an intriguing trend to watch and see how it all evolves.
The Luddite in me is concerned about smart appliances. I see their benefits and I see their uses, but I worry they take away from the primal core skills that people should be learning in order to become more proficient as cooks and food producers in their family. If there's an item that, I've got this piece of item on the counter and it presses chicken to make schnitzel. I've got this piece that shreds onions. I've got this piece that, grates cheese. Kind of taking away from the manual labor aspect whose repetition helps people to develop those skill points. Those are my fears. Thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that's a totally valid concern. It's like there's a balance to strike, right? Those primal skills, the hands-on repetition, that's where the real cooking mastery comes from. So I get the Luddite angle of worrying that we might lose that if we lean too heavily on gadgets. I guess the sweet spot is using tech to help out without letting it replace the joy of actually cooking and learning those core skills. So yeah, it's a balance we've got to find.
So, you just need to make AI a really good commis or a really good sous chef that sits in your kitchen and backs you up on the things that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Just having AI as that perfect sous chef in the corner, ready to assist, but not to take over everything, is kind of the sweet spot. It can do the prep, give you tips, and let you focus on the fun parts. So yeah, just that idea of AI as a helpful kitchen companion rather than a replacement, I think that's the way to go.
And in that sense, I guess you'd be more effective paperwork side of it too, right? Like my wife and I were always like, we're going to come up with a menu for the week so that we can buy the stuff we need at the grocery store. And it'll be cheaper on us because we're not just shopping blindly. We're shopping with purpose. And it works when we do it, but we're not very good at doing it because our at-home organizational skills are very shallow compared to our at-work organizational skills. Kind of funny how that works. So as an AI unit, You could do a lot of that with us, Flash for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point. It's kind of funny how home organization can be the tricky part, even if you're a pro at work. So, yeah, having AI jump in on the planning side, like helping you lay out a weekly menu or making a smart shopping list, can definitely take some of that mental load off. It's just another way to keep things running smoothly and maybe help you stick to that plan a bit more often.
So, would you say we were to sit down and say, let's come up with a menu for the next 4 days? Right? I think we're recording on Wednesday, so it'll be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll come up with a menu for the next 4 days. Dinner items. And I'd say, I'd like to have beef on one day and chicken on another day. And stick to mostly rice and potato dishes. They should all predominantly be vegetarian. And the meats should be a complement that can be on the side or added at the very end to the dish. What would you give
Absolutely.
me?
Yeah, I've got that. So if we're planning out the next 4 days, we can keep it nice and simple. Maybe one night we do a veggie stir fry with rice and you can add a bit of beef on the side at the end. Another night, maybe a potato and veggie curry with a little bit of chicken you can toss in at the end. Then maybe a veggie fried rice another night and a potato and lentil stew for a crazy night. So that way the meat's just a little add-on and you've got a nice balanced plan for the next few days.
Yeah. So then, okay, now we have 4 items that we decide. Then we move on and be like, okay, well, let's build some quick recipes so that we know the things that we want to order. Then I'd say, okay, what do we need for these things? Normally, I'm pretty good at just being like, okay, I'm gonna need lentils, I'm gonna need potatoes, I'm gonna need stock, I'm gonna need cream, I'm gonna need beef, probably something that I can flash fry and slice, so some type of steak or something that I can pound to soften. Same with chicken, right? Not everybody can do that because the skill set I've developed over years of cooking. And some people, when I say, I tell them to make a lentil stew, they look at me like, I don't know what a lentil is and I don't know what stew is. So that's where you would come in.
Exactly. That's where I can jump in and fill in those gaps. I can basically lay out a simple ingredient list so you know exactly what to pick up at the store, even if you're not used to those ingredients. So I can say, hey, grab a couple of lentils, a couple of potatoes, some stock, a little bit of cream, and break it down step by step. That way, whether you're a total beginner or just need a little organizational help, you've got a clear plan and you know exactly what to shop for.
Now, because we have to deal with time crunches, some recipes are longer than others, but you could also set up like a prep plan, right? Like, that we're these things prepped. Now, for the stew, we're going to want to have tomato or carrots and onions and celery dice. Maybe we don't have time to do it on the day of stew, depending on what somebody's schedule looks like, but it could be done the day before or 2 days before. Maybe we want to marinate this beef because we got a cheaper cut and we want it to be tenderer. So we plan that, and that's all stuff you could do as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely help you map out that prep plan. So if you know you're going to be short on time one evening, we can say, all right, let's chop up those veggies the day before or marinate that beef overnight so it's ready to go. That way, when it's time to cook, you're not crunched and everything's just a little more streamlined. So yeah, planning that out is definitely part of what I can do.
So for the purposes of this conversation, let's give a very quick verbal idea of the 4 items we just talked about and how you would plan out their production over the course of the 4 days.
Yeah, absolutely. So for a quick verbal rundown, let's say on day 1, you've got your veggie stir fry with a little beef on the side. You can prep those veggies the night before, slice them up so they're ready to go. On day 2, maybe you do that potato and veggie curry with a little chicken. You can marinate the chicken the night before and chop your potatoes ahead of time. Day 3, maybe a veggie fried rice. You can put the rice the night before and have it chilled and ready to go. And then day 4, that potato and lentil stew. You can chop your veggies a day ahead, or maybe soak your lentils so they're ready to go. And that way everything's kind of lined up, and you can just cook day by day without the stress.
See, that sounds nice. I like how that can work. I think that might be one of the biggest ways that'll get people back into cooking for themselves again. Is that what's the word for? Paperwork. I don't know. There's a word for it. I'm completely missing my mind.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like just having that structure or that plan in place, maybe like a little roadmap, is what really helps. And I think that's where AI can really shine, just taking that mental load off and making cooking feel a bit more doable. So yeah, that's definitely a great approach to get people back in the kitchen.
So, I mean, that's one aspect for sure. I'm a little blurry on how AI can act as a functional tutor in the cooking department. I feel like you really need to have a physical being there with the eyesight to see what the person is doing, to correct them when they're doing it. So probably not something I would see happening unless you have a robot body. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. There's definitely a difference between having a real person physically there to guide you and just having AI as a digital helper. I can definitely talk you through things, but yeah, without eyes on the ground, it's not quite the same as having a physical tutor. So I think AI is great for those basicsy planning, but you're right. There might still be a role for that hands-on human element if you really want that in-person feedback.
Now, I guess ultimately the question is, does society want people to keep cooking, or does society want people to stop and have everything engineered in factories?
Yeah, that's kind of the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, I think there's always going to be people who love the idea of cooking at home, and there's always going to be a market for convenience. So it's probably going to be a mix of both. But I think there's a lot of value in keeping those cooking skills alive, just for that sense of connection and creativity. So yeah, hopefully we can find that balance and keep people cooking at least a little bit.
Yeah, like I see, like to me, the utopian ideal is that AI allows us a society where we have more time to do these types of things, but that time poverty becomes time abundance, so to speak. So as families, we can cook and the skills can be learned because we have the time to do so. With AI helping us to do it and with people who still know how to cook, helping to learn how to cook. Right? I mean, YouTube, that kind of stuff does help people learn. It's just everything's very flashy. And I see the dystopian concept to be more along the lines of, people don't have the time, people don't have the equipment, people don't have the skills. And so everything comes in a box. And I find that to be quite terrifying. Because if you can't cook your own food, can't control what's going into your system, trust others, they will invariably start giving you things that you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think you've really captured that tension there. The utopian version definitely sounds like the dream, where AI just frees up more of our time so we can cook and connect and actually enjoy the process. And yeah, the dystopian flip side is that we lose that control and everything just becomes kind of boxed and uniform. And I totally get that fear. So I guess the goal is really just to lean into that positive vision and use AI to help us keep cooking alive rather than let it disappear.
So I have a question. I think this one should actually be out for the listener. Do we want a future where AI helps us cook more, or one where it cooks for us instead? Because, one of them is going to help keep our cooking future alive, I guess. And while the other one, keeps Uber Eats alive, I guess. Any thoughts on that? And how would you expand that question?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question to put out there. It's really about what kind of future we want to shape. So I definitely encourage listeners to think about that. Do we want AI to empower us to cook more and keep those skills alive? Or do we want it to just take over the kitchen completely? And I'd say it's worth talking about that balance. Maybe it's about finding a middle ground where AI helps us out, but we still get our hands dirty in the kitchen. So yeah, it's a great conversation to have.
All right. And I guess with that, I will bid all of you adieu. Chat next time.
Absolutely. That sounds like a perfect place to wrap it up. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch everyone next time for more of these conversations.